Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about the week ahead, get you ready for what's going to happen in the coming week. And yeah, it's going to be once again a busy one. I think I called last week the Super Bowl week because we had a lot of the big names reporting. But I'll be honest with you, this week is actually probably more important for me. I reckon I've got more companies reporting earnings this week than last week. So this is actually probably personally a bigger one for me. So I'll probably either this week end the week up a significant amount or down a significant amount. So let's hope it's up a significant amount. We'll see what happens as the week goes on. Just a few things to shout out. Thank you for the support in yesterday's video on the 8 stocks I'm buying. Best performing video for a long time. So thank you for you guys that gave up the time to watch that. And a lot of hot dogs. So thank you for you guys that mentioned the hot dogs. I kept looking at my phone and there were notifications coming up saying hot dogs every couple of minutes, which was great to see. And thank you for the new subscribers as well. We are at 19.9k subscribers, so we are so close to pushing to the 20,000 subscriber mark. You can see here the last time I did a live Q&A at the 15,000 subscribers was a year ago. So obviously if we can get to the 20,000, that'll be a massive number. You know, imagine 20,000 people, that'd be great. So if you do get me there, what I'll do is I'll do a live Q&A session for you guys when you do get me there. Like I said, we're under 100 subscribers away from getting there now, and yeah, if we can get there by the end of the year, that'd be absolutely amazing. So thank you for all the new subscribers. It was like October was like really quiet on new subscribers, and then literally after this video there was a bit of a jump, which was really good to see after what has been a bit of a crappy kind of October really. And on the Patreon, if you don't want to join, links in the description guys, but if you are a Patreon member, just a shout out, I posted 6 exclusive videos over there on the weekend. So we had the Mercado Libre, Meta, Microsoft earnings review, we had a portfolio review from a member of the Discord, we had a SoFi, Amazon, Airtel Africa earnings, which all of them were incredible to be fair. VF Corp, Amazon's up again today as well, isn't it? The VF Corp earnings as well, Enphase's earnings and PayPal's earnings. So yeah, a lot of content over there. First of all, well done to any Audioboom shareholders. It looks like we're getting there a little bit closer on that takeover news. We did get an RNS today saying that there is the start of the early stage of companies potentially looking at the business, which is great to see. Now, I saw a few people's reactions to that was, well, why wasn't the stock up more today on the takeover news? Well, it's because it's already priced a lot of it in. You can see here before the takeover news really happened, the stock has rallied up about 30% since that time frame. So it's already priced in about a 30% premium on the takeover bid. So the market's already assuming that there's going to potentially be a premium. The thing is what the premium is going to be. Now, I said originally, I think somewhere between a 50 to 80% premium. And like I said, we've already had about 30% of that priced in. So there's still some upside left there if the premium does come in, but it's already priced in a bit of a takeover. So when the takeover news kind of like, oh, the talks are starting to happen, which are still very early stages, so could easily fall through. But the reason why there wasn't too much of, well, I guess there was a bit of a bounce today. It was up 6%, but it wasn't a significant bounce because we already kind of were at that stage. The next stage really is the confirmation of the takeover, I guess, really, overall, or a concrete offer really put in. So, yeah, and Audioboom, it was a good timing because I was getting a bit nervous. I said that until the end, I'm going to give it until the end of October for the start of something to come in, and we have kind of got there now. So I'm going to hopefully see a concrete offer put in, probably hopefully by the end of November. And then by the end of November, then I'll have to reassess it, because if the bid does fall through with Audioboom, in my opinion, the stock is probably quite fairly valued, dare I say overpriced without a takeover bid, because I think for this business here, and given the with it being an advertising company, it's so open to like economic downturns that an economic downturn in the advertising market would absolutely destroy it. And it's a premium, it's 36 times earnings on this year's numbers, 2025 numbers, and on 2026, 25 times earnings, and that's a pretty decent valuation for this business. So yeah, I'm really in the position now where I'm like, I need to start seeing this takeover happen. Otherwise, I think I've got to consider, making sure I protect some of my gains here, because it certainly should be this value without the takeover in place. So anyway, that's about Audioboom. We'll get on to some other companies that are reporting earnings this week. Before we do, just shout out from today's sponsor, investing.com. Investing.com is a website that I've used plenty of times in my videos for breaking news stories on stocks, but they have plenty of other great services. One of their other fantastic services is the ProPicks AI. This is a stock picking service for you guys that allows you to see stocks using AI that might end up outperforming the S&P 500. There is different types of investing styles, so if you want to look for more tech focused stocks, you can do that. But there's other categories as well, like top value stocks, Buffett investing style stocks, so plenty of different types of investing tools for you to use. You can see here that their total return over the 12-year time frame has been 2,722%, which is not too bad, and that works out as an annualized return of 30% a year. They also have other tools like Warren AI. This is an AI service that allows you to do research on some stocks. So one of my favorite stocks right now is Adobe. So I can type in, what does Warren AI think of Adobe? And they will start bringing up news stories on why the stock could potentially dropping and other things that are related to Adobe for doing my research on the stocks. It's a great website. A lot of people always ask me, where do I get my ideas from when I'm buying stocks, or where do they come from? Some of these investing sites like investing.com and their pro picks can be great tools for finding out brand new stocks as well. If you do want to join, there's going to be a link in the description, guys, and in the comment section that will give you 15% off. Right now, the pro service is only £7.99, which is obviously fantastic when you look at the research tools that you get with Warren AI, and also these Pro Picks AI. The service might end up paying for itself, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you to investing.com for sponsoring today's video, and I do think this is a great product here, guys. And let's take a look at the earnings. So we've got the UK earnings to look at, and we've got the US earnings to take out. The UK earnings, so we've already had Monday, obviously, as we are on Monday where this video comes out. We've got BP that are reporting. That's an interesting one. I was actually quite close to buying BP not too long ago, actually. Domino's, that's had a bit of a tough time. People don't realise that the Domino's companies are separate in the UK to like the US business. I think that's had a pretty significant pullback, and I think a few members of the Discord have actually been quite keen for me to do that on the stock request at some point. It's not won the vote just yet, but if it keeps it up, I think it could be a winner on the stock request at some point, to be fair. On the Wednesday, we've got JD Wetherspoons. I'm sure they only reported the other week. Marks and Spencer's are reporting. Water Intelligence is actually a company I am watching at the moment, so I'll be interested to see what happens there. Trainline as well. I'm surprised Trainline haven't done better, to be fair, than what they have been doing. Although I've not looked at the share price recently, so that could actually be up a bit, but I don't know. On the Thursday, Diageo, yeah, they're having a tough time. Never bought that one. I thought it was going to be a bit of a tough time for them. Young people just don't drink anymore. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Sainsbury's, they're also reporting. Auto Trader, Watches Switzerland Group, so we'll talk about that one. And ITV, a lot of people can talk about ITV at the moment. I was really interested. I don't know if you guys watch Fox Markets with Paul Hill and Paul Scott, but they're back and forth because like Paul Hill was, make sure I get the right one here. Paul Hill was like bearish on ITV and Paul Scott was bullish on ITV, and to hear a bull and bear case go at it on ITV was really interesting. So I might check that one out. The one that we shall not name is also reporting on Thursday. Actually on Tuesday, missing off here, to be fair, is actually Zotefoams. I thought that was last week. Turns out it's this week, so be interesting to see what's going on with Zotefoams. Been a good year for them. It would be key for, it's not loading the year-to-date return, but it's up a significant amount, trust me. You guys that own Zotefoams will know that. Be good to see what's going on with the Nike partnership and how that's going, and also the resource, because there's been a lot of rumours about what's going on with that part of the business recently, so be good to get an update what's going on with that part of the business as well. But watch the Switzerland report on Thursday. That's going to be a really interesting one, because it feels like watching the Switzerland group, I'm going to have to try refresh this here because none of my stock charts are loading for some reason, but it feels like watching the Switzerland group should be doing a lot better than what it is this year. So we'll see what happens, because the financials have actually been pretty good. The other bullish thing that's going on with Watches of Switzerland at the moment as well is another luxury company, LVMH, Louis Vuitton. Their luxury sales as well went to 2% growth in the third quarter, and the first half was flat. So they're actually seeing an increase. So it'd be good to see if that's also being translated across into the Watches of Switzerland share price as well, which I'm still a little bit annoyed that these share price charts aren't loaded on this video here. But yeah, that would be really key to see. Looking at Watches of Switzerland as well, the Rolex prices as well has been stabilising massively this year and actually increasing. So that should be really good for the average selling price as well for them. The other thing that I think is really going to help Watches of Switzerland Group is the trade deal situation. So it seems like it's really struggled to recover since all the trade deal and the trade war stuff has happened. And obviously Switzerland haven't got a trade deal with the US yet. So obviously people are thinking that's going to affect them somewhere down the line. So what we want to see is a trade deal probably announced as well. That would be a really good catalyst for it as well. So that's something we're staring at. There's been a bit of it's been a bit quiet, and then we've had a bit of news come out in the last few days that they are still working on a trade deal. So that would actually be really big for Watches Switzerland if that was to happen. To be fair, so we'll keep an eye on that one as well. So moving across to the US earnings, we've got Fubo on Semi. I've not looked at those earnings yet. I'll have to have a look at those after I've closed this video off because they'll be out there, to be fair. And real estate income. Obviously, we've got Palantir. That's a big one that people are going to be looking at. And obviously Hims and Hers. By the time you guys see this video, I reckon they will be out. So I've got to be careful what I say here with that. But I think it's a big one for Hims and Hers because it's had a bit of a pullback recently. And I think a few people are now going to see the overlapping of the GLP-1 comps. And you can see here there's a bit of a decent pullback in the EPS expected. Revenue growth to go to 44% and then 30% in the Q4 period. The big thing with this here now is to see, there's two things that I think is going to be key in this quarter, and you guys will probably know it, is first of all, how the market's going to react with growth, the growth rate decelerating. So they're still growing, but they're growing at smaller amounts. What's the market going to think about that? And then the other thing is, we're in Q3. Sometimes they give the 2026 guide out in Q3. What will be key to see is what they give on the guide for next year. If they give any guidance for next year or if they leave it a little bit longer. But the growth rates at the moment is only 20%, well 19% revenue growth. And a little bit of a jump on an EPS point of view. It's going to be really key to see what they give from there because it'll be quite hard, in my opinion, for the shareholder base to adjust from a 90% growth rate down to a 19% growth rate. So it'll be key to see the commentary about what they say is the GLP-1's going to say they're actually going to grow slower than that. Now they're overlapping. Yeah, that's going to be really interesting with Hims and Hers. So that's what you need to be watching out for. Or look at now that it's probably out by the time you guys see that. Obviously on the Tuesday we've got Uber. That's an interesting one. Shopify. Shopify is always quite volatile. Like it can go up a lot or down a lot on earnings. It's always a really big mover. It's been on a good run recently. Spotify, Pfizer, Ferrari. Used to own Ferrari. That was a great company for us that we used to own. On the close, AMD. So AMD, I've got to say the AMD numbers, just going to say it now, they look very beatable. If you look at AMD right now, this quarter, yeah, 28% revenue growth, a little bit of a jump in an EPS point of view. But look at the next quarter guide. So the next quarter guide, EPS is decent, okay, but 20% revenue growth. Are we just not seeing the partnerships that AMD have been announcing recently? I think that looks very conservative, and I think they could be hiking up that guidance for the next quarter in a pretty decent way. So yeah, I was quite surprised to see what analysts were saying about that point of view. So keep an eye on that guidance when it comes to that AMD earnings there. Arista Networks, Supermicro, beyond me, as if it's made it on there. By the way, these are just the most anticipated earnings, so there's even more companies that I'm not even mentioning that are going to be reporting as well. Upstart, Axon, Pinterest, that's interesting. I think that management have been taking the piss a little bit with some of the stuff they've been doing on there. You know, a bit of money payments to themselves, stock-based compensation, not managing the cost a little bit. If they could, I'd like to see a new CEO. I know the new CEO's only been in there for like 2 or 3 years now, but I'd like a new CEO in there or the founder to come back, and you know that could be really interesting because I think Pinterest has a lot of potential, and I don't know if it's been achieved under the current CEO. Say that now, I bet the stock goes up after earnings massively. But yeah, that's always quite a volatile one as well, to be fair. That's always moving. On the Wednesday, Novo. I don't know if any of you guys did buy the dip on Novo, but you'll be staring at that one very closely. McDonald's, Unity. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've always said to you guys, I don't short stocks, but if I was to short a stock, that probably would have been the one. I said that, I've been saying that for many years now, to be fair. Digital Ocean, that's one that I watch. I'd like them to get a bit more growth, to be fair, but interesting. On the close on Wednesday, Robin Hood are reporting, Apple Lovin, AMC, Dutch Bros, they're an interesting one. Qualcomm, Snapchat, that's a volatile one. Figma, I think that's their second time reporting as a company. That's one to watch. Elf are reporting. I like looking at Elf and see what's going on there. Gives you a good look into the makeup space overall. Moving to the Wednesday, Oscar Health, that's been a little bit quiet recently. I think the reason why is because the stock's gone pretty much sideways recently, and seems like a lot of people are getting really excited about that, and there's just not as much excitement at the moment. Datadog reporting, that's an interesting one. Moderna, Warner Bros, the Trade Desk. Yeah, Trade Desk never got to the right valuations for me. I think it's had a bit of a bounce up. They need to make sure they stop the trend of like disappointing numbers slightly. So watch that for the Trade Desk. Open Door reporting, SoundHound, DraftKings are reporting, Airbnb. DraftKings, that's an interesting one because DraftKings has had a tough time. I mean, just look at the sell-off of the stock in the last month, really. Big sell-off in DraftKings. And I've been a bit bearish on DraftKings. I've been the most bearish of DraftKings since I've been a shareholder. And I feel like the management have been a bit slow to do things inside the business, and that's frustrated me a little bit. However, even though that I'm frustrated with the business, I mean, I thought the EPS numbers on this quarter were pretty poor. So I hope they do better than that. And the growth rate for this quarter is pretty poor as well. But this is a period where there's like hardly any sporting events in America. And obviously last year there was the Euros and also the, what's it called? Copa America. So it's tough comps this year. So that's why the growth rate's going to be slower. Imagine what the growth rates next year are going to be when there's a World Cup in the US and Mexico. Ooh, that's going to be a very easy setup for Q3 next year. But the story still is good for DraftKings. Even this year, the EPS is expected to go up nicely. Still expected to do 30% growth. Next year, still 20% growth expected, which I think will grow faster than that, to be honest with you. EPS expected to go up very nicely next year. And I still think it's like 22 forward times earnings or something. So even though I think they could have done better, you got to look at the valuation. The growth is still there. There's still like a duopoly in the sports betting network in the US. So, you know what? I've been a bit pissed off with them. But I tell you what, if you get to the point of view where, I don't know, let's say DraftKings goes to $20, $22, $23, $24, yeah, I'd buy it. Even though I'm not really happy with some of the things that they've done. Maybe that's just because I've got such high expectations with them. I wouldn't be mind buying them, to be fair. So, and that's it. But there's actually two I want to point out that aren't on here. So, like I said, there's some stocks that are reporting earnings that I own that are not on here. Two that I want to point out very quickly. The first one is Shark Ninja. So, this is the first time as me as a shareholder where they're going to report earnings. Recently, the stock has been dropping off going into earnings, which is always a little bit like, does the market know something? But I'm looking at the earnings for the next quarter. So decent EPS growth expected, decent revenue growth expected. Q4 looks a big guide. Obviously, Christmas spending, people going out and buying someone a Hoover, why not? Going out and buying someone an air fryer. So that looks pretty strong if they can do that guide in Q4. But if they can just do these numbers, not even like a major beat, I'd be really happy considering the valuation. But the really good thing with what's happening with Shark Ninja now is that I think I started buying at like $90 or something. And I love it when companies bring out good earnings and the stock keeps dropping. And I said to you guys, I don't know if I said it to you guys, I don't know if I said it to you guys on the Patreon, but I said that if I can get Shark Ninja in the $70 range, magnificent. I think that puts it down to like 12 times, 13 times forward earnings. And when you get a company at 12, 13 forward times earnings that are doing these sort of numbers, not that one, this one, it's beautiful. Really, really good. So I am hoping for Shark Ninja to bring out good earnings and the stock drops 10% off earnings. Beautiful. And then I can go double the position. So that's that's the wish. We'll see what happens there. And the last one, Shift4 Payments. So this has had a bit of drop off into earnings as well. Don't know if the market knows something with this one. I think a lot of this did sell off due to the FISA earnings. So we'll see if that has any impact with Shift4 Payments, which I shouldn't. There's not a big crossover, so it shouldn't be too big. But yeah, if you thought Shark Ninja was cheap, look at Shift4 Payments. So currently trading at 10 times forward earnings. And in this quarter, they're expected to do 29% revenue growth and EPS growth of about, let's call it 40%, which is incredible. It's 10 times forward earnings. So yeah, Shift4 Payments could actually come in with like a miss, and I would still be happy at this valuation. So we'll see what happens. The only thing I've got to say with Shift4 Payments is they do have a little bit of a history recently of missing earnings. So hopefully they can make sure they get a bit close to earnings here. That would be good. Yeah, if they could beat, that would be really good. But even if they did like a miss like this on the numbers, yeah, at 10 times forward earnings, you shouldn't have a company at that sort of valuation doing these numbers. So we'll see. That's a really interesting one as well. So yeah, get ready for this week, guys. It's going to be a mega one. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I'll try and review the Hims and Hers earnings, which are out in about half an hour for you guys. I want to still do, as the kind of Hims and Hers OG, I still want to probably do a full breakdown of earnings for you guys about that one. And then Wednesday, I might do a portfolio review, because I think we do a portfolio review of what's going on the YouTube channel. So I'll probably do that one for you on Wednesday. And then, yeah, we'll see where we're at. I mean, it depends what happens with earnings. And by then, we'll probably have a bunch of earnings, Zotefoam's earnings. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. This time of year, I've just got to play. I can't even plan videos in. I just play it by ear and see like what stocks have moved in the last kind of 3 hours before making a video. So, yeah, best of luck out there. Hope you have a good week, and hopefully it's a good one for us. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit.